I know you've got some tips for those of us who are managing the people working from home.
Correct.
All right. So tell me what you mean by who.
Yeah. Okay. By who is all right. So who's at home and who's working at the office? Now, of course, most of us should be at home, right? There are some folks that have to go to the office or can go to the office. So just I had a client who recently, just even last week, they got themselves all mixed up because somebody couldn't find the mail, couldn't find the things that needed. Well, somebody had already come in and done that.
Oh, goodness.
And you see, it's like, wait, hold on. We got to figure out who's doing what. Okay. And so you just got to have some clarity on it. So just be very clear.
First kind of scenario. I've got an attorney who had to learn how to use the mail thing in the office because he had never used it before. He's the only one going in.
Oh yeah, I have one client that they basically did a spreadsheet, and here's who's where, and here's the basic 3 tasks and who's coming in. Very organized. Of course, I'm a spreadsheet person, but just define it as much as possible so that you don't waste people's time when they're traveling. Also, who's going to go to go shopping or who's going to do this. Just clarify who's going to be doing stuff. Okay.
Sure. All right. And so those people are going to need some tools and some setup to get themselves working.
I've seen from experience, a couple clients I've worked with, that those firms that spent time worrying about, and I really mean worrying, they really worry about, are my team members, do they have all they need for setup? Do they have the chairs? Do they have a desk? Okay, they're having to use their kitchen. What do y'all need? Do you need office supplies? Do you guys is your web camera working? You know what I'm saying? Because since they're going to be working from home, it's got to feel like there's an investment and support of it. So the tools, setup, and supplies can't be just relegated to, oh, we'll worry about that later. There's going to be nothing more frustrated than after a while, my wobbly desk that I had to steal from my son's art room, you know what I'm saying, in my chair, it's just going to begin to be a problem. So if I don't address it and proactively ask, does everybody have tools to set up everything, and not just revisit it one time, but revisit it on a regular basis?
Absolutely. I think those firms that really had a disaster recovery plan in place prior to all of this happening and had the tools in place for their team to go work from home, they didn't have that time of scrambling with their IT department, trying to figure out a phone situation. They were able to just sort of flip a switch and
that's right.
A lot quicker, get to work a lot
well, one team I worked with last week, oh yeah, everyone's got their webcam. Oh yeah, everybody wants to use it. I said, okay, look, I hate to say this, call an all-team meeting, ask everybody to log in because you want to say hi to everybody. And guess what they found out?
They weren't ready. Yeah.
They weren't ready. Half of them didn't know how to use it, and those that did not. And the glaring and the lights, and you know what I'm saying. One guy kept fiddling around with his window shades and goes, I can't get this brightness off of here. It's hilarious, but that's all part of that.
It is. Yeah. All right. So what do you mean by goals?
Yeah, by goals, we should already been doing this. Everyone should have already known what their weekly goals, what their monthly KPIs are. Now, I do want to point this out. Having goals and having strict, and I say strict because they're, you got to have a measurable, right, requirement. You got to have like we talked about earlier, you got to hold people accountable. That's got nothing to do with how you're holding them accountable. That's a different issue. We'll cover that in the later points.
So you're really talking about setting those expectations?
Yes, just setting them up. Now, how you're going to manage, we'll cover in a minute, but just having them be clear and say, look, this is what defines success on a weekly basis, and this is what defines success on a monthly basis. And give it to them and make sure that everybody knows so that we can deal with the time management, the obstacles, and it helps us stay focused from a day-to-day. That doesn't mean we micromanage on a day-to-day. See, that's the how you manage.
Right.
This point number 3 is right now, just make sure everyone has their goals and their metrics of success of what every week looks like well executed and what every month looks like for successful execution.
And those goals that you're talking about here in number 3 are not necessarily, they may be, but they're not necessarily the, big, lofty, this is our financial goal for the year each week. We're also talking about very task-based. They
should all lead to those big ones.
Right.
Because most of us work from tasks that are just the small links of the long chain. Mm-hmm. As long as everybody's meeting their goals and they're all responsible for their length, then we can meet all of our objective big goals.
Absolutely.
So one team, I think you saw the email. I'm not sure. If not, I'll send it to you. One team, the team lead paralegal sent out to the whole firm saying, "Y'all, we've never met our demands the way we've met them in the last week. Whereas before we needed this, we set up a goal for this week, and guys, we've more than reached it this last 2 weeks, and then we're all at home." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is that as soon as this happened, the paralegals, the two paralegals, myself, and a couple other folks sat down and said, okay, what can they reasonably do at home? And what's interesting, they set a marker this high and the whole team went this high.
That's it. That's awesome.
And that awesome? And it's just the reverse psychology of it. And it's just fantastic. It works, give people what the expectation is and people will rise to the occasion.
Yep. All right. So what do you mean by non-remote tasks?
Man, find out, 10%, a lot, especially in the legal industry, a lot of what I do, I need somebody else to mail stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I need other folks to do what I can't do here. So I need to know who can help me run point on some things and who is that.
Right.
If I need other stuff done by others, don't make me have to go figure it out, because then we'll all start calling each other. Whereas just define that there are some folks that can do other tasks for others and let everyone know who they are so you can connect people together. That's what that means.
Okay. Got it. So let's talk progress reports.
Yeah, progress reports and goals are very tied together. And the reason for doing this, the 3 and 5 go together, is you want to move away from micromanaging. Okay. So what you do is you have a report. Now, those reports are different from firm to firm, from organization to organization. And sometimes you don't even have to have a report. The Needle systems or the dashboard system collects all that and puts it in a dashboard report, but it's being collected. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we could have made number 5 say a collectible dashboard report of something. However, the firms that don't have that and they need to enter the weekly updates of what the activities that got done, well, it might need to be entered into a spreadsheet or into a Word file or something, but have something that on a weekly basis somebody can either run a report or can gather that data from everybody so that we know where are we and how well did we do this week. By having that, it keeps us from having to micromanage.
Absolutely. And I would say those firms that have worked with Vista in the past and have had Vista build a dashboard know how valuable it is to be able to kind of take a one-stop shop and say, without even calling anybody or digging too deeply into anything, I can see, are my case managers, hitting their client contact numbers, what number of demands went out this week. But for those who haven't worked with Vista or don't have that capability right now, them being able to look at an Excel spreadsheet or check in with that person via email even, so they can say, this is what I accomplished this week.
That's right.
Holding them accountable to those things that we said we expected of them.
Right. And that's where number 6 comes in, that regular communication. And here, because we both referred to the whole issue of confirming, holding folks accountable, not micromanagement, this is where we need to talk about that. And that is that this deals squarely into your point where it says know yourself. Well, know your team members. Okay. Mm-hmm. If your team members are the kind of personalities that they don't like a daily call because that feels too much, well, you need to recognize that, because that daily call is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. But also don't think that, oh yeah, my team, we're a bunch of thoroughbreds. I don't have to call them. I don't have to, I just leave them a call once a week. Well, I hope you hired a bunch of introverts that don't need that way, but if you hired anything short of an extrovert, then guess what? They need social interaction. They need to hear from you, okay? A colleague that I talked to last night, he is a very high introvert individual. And he said, Maurice, I'm having a really hard time working from home. And I said, tell me about it. Guess what he said?
What did he say?
Maurice, I feed my energy from social interaction. And I was like,
but you're an introvert. What?
What are you talking about? He says, no. I mean, I know. I mean, everything in my profile is, but no, I need it. I'm having a hard time because it's just too quiet for me. Now, I love the quietness in my personal space, but in my workspace, I mean, I'm used to interacting with others. And I said, okay, hold on. Was that?
That's fascinating.
It is. And I said, okay, so hold on. How often is your supervisor contacting you? And you see the silence?
Yep.
That's what he told me.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, that takes some time to develop that, to get to know
Yep,
your team well enough to know how often Maurice likes to check in, how often
that's
Mary
right.
Ellen likes to check in. And it's just like that know yourself thing. We're all going to be a little bit different with it. So you
Yep.
have to take that time and rhythm to figure out what's working for you. And managers have to do it too.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that, like I said earlier, like you and I talked about earlier, it's not until you're there with it you realize you're there.
Yeah.
It's not until my wife and I have to work at home when I realize, wow, I've been married 20, 25 years. I hadn't seen that in her, and she's seeing
I
some
need to
things
go
in
take
me.
the trash out right now because I need a minute.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So we're all experiencing something new that's bringing stuff out of us that we didn't see at the office because we're in a different space.
Absolutely.
And so you just have to keep your eye out and realize regular means different things to different personalities.
You're absolutely
Okay,
right. All right,
so the
talk to me
team
about
leader, yeah.
leadership rhythm.
Okay, so the leadership rhythm is it's really the behind the scenes that makes all this fascinating and fun. Okay, if we know that all the team leaders are talking to the remote teams, then there's this interaction. How you doing? How we doing? Great job. Look, I need you to improve the mentoring, the coaching, and all that. And that's what happens in the regular communication, right? There's coaching, there's mentoring, there's assistance. We talk about how you're doing, what I need to do, what are you doing that needs to improve, what do I need to improve, and then here's the big one. Ready?
I'm
What
ready.
do you need that's getting in the way? What problems are you having that I need to know about?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where in a remote right here, you need to be able to give the remote team members the confidence that there's not anybody else listening to this. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That you can tell me anything.
Right. Let's have a
I,
candid conversation.
I'm sorry, what?
That you can have a candid conversation.
Yes, because again, it's kind of like when you close your eyes, you're hearing, or blind individuals that their other senses pick up, or if
Mhm.
you're deaf, your other, you know what I'm saying? All right, it's the same thing. Now that we're remote, we're hearing a silence and we're seeing things we hadn't done before, and I got to be able to talk to somebody about these issues, okay? Because I'm seeing things that I need to talk to you about. Now, if you're my team leader, Mary Ellen, and I'm the remote team member, we're both remote, and I
Mhm.
tell you that I'm seeing some things, half of what I'm going to say, you're probably going to have to go and kind of keep an eye out, and you and other team leaders may need to go to a management meeting and say, hey, y'all, we're hearing this from our people.
Yep.
But if that leadership team meeting is not happening at least once a week to where we can bring our stuff that we're hearing from the field, then we're not going to be able to support them. And they're going to soon realize it's not worth me telling Mary Ellen, and these meetings just become something for you to hold me accountable. I
And they
can't
no
really.
longer become candid, and they feel like they're falling on deaf ears.
Exactly. So that leadership rhythm meeting is to make sure that we're checking on progress, that we're fixing problems, that we're making decisions that empower the Mary Ellens of the world to empower the remote team members, and that we're helping them so that the message is the leadership team is back in the back, waiting for you guys to tell us where we can fix things and how we can assist you guys out in the remote field.
Gotcha. All right. So what about team-wide calls?
All right, well, that's the next step. If we're meeting as a leadership team, okay, and we're hearing from everybody and we're seeing their progress report, see all this leads up to this, then let's have a team meeting where we do a whole team meeting and it's very positive. Guys, thank you so much for this. And what I'm telling all partners, okay, get in front of your remote teams at least once a week. They need to hear from you, and they need to see that presidential officer on a horse leading the charge, motivating, that only the executives at the top can do.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the this is weird thing, because people are feeling unusual and unsettled, and this is a weird situation. But if they see their leader really being
Absolutely.
with it and acting as a leader should, it helps sort of quelch some of that fear and concern.
Yeah, and if I had a room of just the executives at the top, here's what I would tell them: do your one team, okay, and then ask your managers, are y'all doing a team wide within your team?
Yep.
Okay, I love the fact you're calling each one individually, but are you having your own team where you're being presidential? And then if they're not, help them, because they're probably not comfortable, but they need to see their team leader be that voice, right?
Point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right, what about, I know number 9, provide training.
Look, I was on a webinar with Patrick Lencioni, okay, the author of The Ideal Team Player, okay? And of course, he's got like 50, 60 consultants worldwide. And he said, it is amazing how much training they're now doing for their clients and how they're training their clients on how to use virtual technology to provide coaching sessions for each other.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it with Zoom and all these technologies, you have a session with two, record it, make it available, put it on a shared site. I'm sorry, say it.
And it becomes a session for 100.
And absolutely. And then contact your training coordinator or who's ever wearing that hat or HR and have them organize it. Okay. And then eventually somebody please put all that up on your company's YouTube channel and make some of those private, make some of those public, or open up 2 channels, one for the public and one for internal. I mean, get creative about this. Now's the time to do it. The technology's there. And everybody is now okay doing training remote. Okay, it's a foregone conclusion. It
is happening. Yeah. And I mean, I really think provide training. You know, one of the Vista tenets is how important training is for everything that we do.
That's
so
right.
really,
That's right.
1 through 10 could have some element of making sure that you're providing training and giving that to your team.
Yep.
All right, build fun around it. Let's talk about that.
I mean, virtual happy hours, virtual whatever, virtual ... Okay, and encourage people to connect with each other. Do not make it to where the team leaders have to set these up, okay? Actually, the team leaders should encourage the remote team members, okay, the frontliners. Y'all please do this and don't even invite us.
Exactly.
It's just like going to
being intentional about the culture again.
Exactly.
In your team. Yep.
Exactly, but then add to it incentives, reward performance, just all that has to do with building. I like you keep using the word intentional culture building. It works. And because everybody's now okay with the fact that we're living remotely from camera to camera, man, it's just, there's a safety here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a safety here that you can say, hey guys, got to go. My wife's calling. Oh, get out. It's safe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just get creative about that.
We did something called Wind Down Wednesday.
That's good.
Going with your team members with your glass of wine, no work talk allowed. This is just
that's a good one.
Stress kind of situation.
Yeah,
nice one to keep your culture up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's great. Yep, that's it.
All right. Great list, Maurice. Great list.
No, you're a great list. I think combining, I hope we those of you that are watching or share with each other, I hope this helps. And stay in touch with us. Anything else we can do for you, we're here. Let's go ahead and sign off. This is Maurice Velasquez.
Mary Ellen Murrah.
And Vista Consulting. Thank you guys very much. Have a great weekend.